Hey, welcome in everybody. Prax, what's up? What's up? Justin, hey, how's it going? I don't know why this weekend felt so long. This weekend felt extremely long, and I don't know, maybe I'm just excited to get back to trading, but for some reason, yeah, it just felt longer than normal. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So welcome to this week's watch list review with Spartan Trades. If you are new, I will be reviewing the market from an overall technical standpoint. I'm then going to mention some trade ideas that I have for tomorrow. I'm going to mention some charts that I've set alerts on for the rest of the week. And then at the end, I'm going to open up the floor here for you guys to ask any questions that you may have, and we'll do some charting and technical analysis together. Alex the Rookie says, you guys love me. You know what? I love you too. You are the reason why I do this. So just as an FYI, this is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. You can ask questions anytime, but I will not answer them until the end. What we are looking at here is the daily chart time frame setup. So there's a daily chart for /ES. If you don't know, this is the future that SPY follows. It gives us insights as to how the overall market is moving. There is a slight gap up and kind of a pullback here. If I move to the 5-minute chart, you could see that. So slight gap up, pullback, and then not really a whole lot of movement since then. Ton of time between now and when the market opens. So, you know, this could be, it's anyone's guess where we wind up by the morning. Recently, the market's been making this series of lower lows, right? So you see that, those 3 lows right there, and lower highs. So that's kind of just an indication that we are on a bit of a pullback. But what I like is that this green dotted line right here, that's the 50 EMA. It's still being kind of validated as a support. So that that price action on Friday, where that big green candle is, that kind of reversal right there, that wild V-shaped recovery intraday, has me thinking that there is hope for a green market this week. So if you're a long bias trader like me, you don't necessarily want to see you don't want to see /ES really break below this 3,800 mark, right? We don't want to see that break below that 50 EMA. We certainly don't want to see it make a new low below the 37.25 price point. Instead, what you want to see is a break of the recent trend down. So I'm going to draw a trend line across the tops of those candles. You can kind of get an idea, like that is our most recent downtrend. So what we want to see is a break of this downtrend line, but ideally we want to see, instead of these lower highs being made, we want to see higher highs being made, or at least, you know, higher lows. So pullbacks and corrections like this, look, they're healthy for the market. It happens, right? Don't let the price action scare you. Also, keep an eye on SPY or /ES when you're trading this week, because that market direction is really going to be key. When I was going through and doing technical analysis on a lot of different stocks earlier, what I would see, I would see this kind of like longer tail candle from Friday with like a small body top. It looked like that on a lot of different stocks. I like Tesla, Roku, Boeing. I think Snapchat had one, right? It's all over the place. So what that's telling me is it's basically indicating that those stocks and others were exactly following SPY, right? So that price action where it had sold off, hit a low, but then by the end of the day had recovered all the way back up. So keep an eye on SPY's price action this week. That's going to be key. And watch out for the overall market direction. As for the watch list for tomorrow, and these are in no particular order, the first one's going to be Facebook, FB. All right, I've been mentioning this for the past week, and hopefully it feels like a prophecy at this point. Hopefully that prophecy gets fulfilled. This right here, all of this chopping and price action, this is a range that's being built. So the overall support is going to be down here at $254. The overall resistance of this range is going to be up here at around $267. So we'll just draw two trend lines there. And then you'll notice that the 200 EMA, that blue line, is being treated as the support. And the 50 EMA, this green dotted line, is kind of being treated as a resistance. So what happens when you have a stock that consolidates in a tight range like this, I mean, compared to all of the other price action here, when you have a stock that consolidates in a tight range like this, that builds up a lot of pressure. Think of it like a bottleneck, right? It's building up a lot of pressure, and then at some point something's going to give. So we're looking for this breakout move, but it could also break down as well. So just keep an open mind. That's why my alert is set at 254, and then my other alert is set at 267. But I think it's going to depend on the market direction, right? So if we see a green market, I think it's likely that we get a breakout to the top side. Whereas if we see a red market, we might pull back down to the bottom side of this range and see a breakdown. So my plan for tomorrow is to take this long over the $267 price point, because then we would have a break of the range, we would have a break of the 50 EMA, and then I think maybe, if we wanted to stretch it a little further, we could say that we were indeed getting a break of this downward trend line here, right, where we're connecting this resistance point, that resistance point, and then maybe a resistance point right here. A few different reasons why this has a lot of breakout potential. So long over 267, I'm not going to give you a short trigger right now, because my short trigger would be placed at the bottom side of the range, and we're not trading down there at the bottom side of the range. If we were, it'd be more relevant, but we're not. So just looking for the breakout. Since we're already topside, we'll see what happens. Okay, 267 is the mark. By the way, I am giving you these trigger levels now. They will likely change by the morning, or can change by the morning, depending on the overnight movement of the stock and the market. So just keep that in mind, right? Use these levels as guidance, and be ready to adjust them in the morning as you see fit. Or if you're part of the Discord server, I do that for you. Right? So Facebook over 267, that's what we're looking for, this range break play. I really, really like this setup. I just hope that it does what we think it's going to do. A good example, if you didn't know, of a range break was on Boeing, right? So I had been calling out this kind of range here for quite some time on Boeing, and then what happened was I took it off the watch list one day, right? I think we had put it on the watch list like 3 or 4 days in a row, looking for that breakout move. And I took it off the watch list, and then this big move happened, right? And I was like a little upset, but not really, because other members in the server had been calling out that play, and people did make money on it. But it's okay. We caught it. Like when it pulled back, we did wind up catching this breakout move right there, so it's all good. We made our money on Boeing anyways. But yeah, I don't want another situation like this to happen on a range break play and us miss it. So for that reason, Facebook's probably going to stay on the watch list all week until it gets some sort of direction, either up or down, right? Doesn't matter to me. I just want to see that range break. All right. The next one on the watch list is Disney, DIS. So the highs are up here at $200.60. I don't think we're super worried about that 60 cents. Just going to draw a trend line at the $200 price point, right? That's a whole number. We know that whole numbers like to act as natural areas of what? Support and resistance within the market. This chart here doesn't look all that appealing on the daily, but if we look at the 5-minute chart time frame, look at the after hours movement, right? Big pump up to about $197, which is somewhat of a recent relevant level of resistance, given this point here, not so much here, but here, right? And then so after hours, we're again below 197. So there's a few ways to play this, and I probably prefer the second way that I'm about to give you. But the first way that we could play this is look at taking a long position over the $197 price point, or even maybe 196 if you don't mind taking on a little bit more risk. So you could take a long position over 196 or 197 for the move up to 200 if you believe that it's going to go up to that price point. The only thing about that play is that you're limiting yourself to like, a 1.5% profit margin. If you do that, you should just understand that $200 is, I think that's really going to be a likely level of resistance. And I don't know if it breaks that price point the first time. So that's one way we could trade this. The second way that we could trade this is look for, depending on where it opens, right? Maybe it opens up over 197. We'd just wait for it to break over the $200 price point and then take a long position there, because then we would have confirmation that the play really is moving. Another way we could trade this is look for this, because this is obviously this will be a gap up if that level sustains by tomorrow morning. Look for the 194 price point to fail as a support, and then a gap fill down to 191 or 190. And the last way that we could look at trading this is to just set it as a side chart watch. Wait for the 200 level to break, later on, and not even try to take a trade on it tomorrow. And if it goes, then we can take the position looking for a new all-time high, which is over, what was that, 200.6, right? Yeah. So few different ways to play this gap up. My favorite position, I think, is to wait for the 200 break, just so you have extra confirmation. I'm not super worried about that 60 cents because I feel like if it breaks 200, it'll probably break over that 60 cent mark, right? And it may even do that in one candle. Who knows? So yeah, we'll see. A lot of it just kind of depends on where it opens up at pre-market. Oh, by the way, the reason why Disney's up after hours, I didn't mention this, is because there is news that there will be a partial reopening in California. Okay, so they get the opportunity to make money again. Yeah, a few different scenarios there. Remember, trading is all about creating if-then scenarios, right? And so, like, we are not fortune tellers. I can't tell you what this stock is going to do, but I've just given you a few different scenarios where if this happens, you can do this, or if this happens, do this, or if this happens, do that, right? And so that way you're well equipped and prepared to take a trade on Disney, no matter which way it goes. All right, the next one on the main chart watch list is going to be Amazon AMZN. This is that formation that I was talking about earlier in the beginning of the stream, where I said, we've seen this. I see this all over the market right now. It's a big bottoming tail with a very small top body. It's just basically saying that the price point was driven down at some point, but then bought back up, and that kind of V-shaped recovery happened on SPY. So not a ton of technical analysis to be done here, because I feel like, whatever the overall market direction is, that's probably what we're going to get with Amazon, just given that, Friday's price action followed SPY as well. So I guess if I were to do any type of technical analysis, it'd be this. $3,000, that's the price point that it's currently trading at. That's a big whole number, right? We know that to be a support point, a natural support point, or a natural resistance point. In this case, we're looking for it to validate as support. The 200 EMA is also conveniently located right where we're currently trading at. This is also a dynamic level of support. So we are just looking for, and that candle right there, that long wick candle, that is a reversal candlestick. That's known as a hammer candle. But it's only confirmed if you have the next candle, if the next candle is green, right? So we have a few different reasons why we may have a long position here, but it needs to hold 3,000 by open, I believe, and then we're going to look at probably taking a position over 3020. So if you're in my Discord server, that 3020 mark was a level for us a couple of times, and we were able to catch a nice reversal here. I think that leaving that level, because we don't want to say a long over 3,000. That's just a little too tight to where we're currently trading at. So 30.20 will be the mark to take it long. Otherwise, if the market kind of gaps up, or if this gaps up, it'll be 30.50. That'll be our next trigger. So 30.20 with a price target of 30.50, or 30.50 maybe with a price target of like 3,100 or 30.80, or 20%, whatever comes first. If I were to give a short trigger on this, and I am, but I don't know if I'm necessarily leaning short biased, the real short trigger I'd want to give would be like down here, right at the lows and at the 2,900 whole number. But I don't see that. I don't see this move happening from all the way up here, all the way down here, and then this breaking down and continuing to move. So what I'm going to do is just split the difference and set the short trigger at 29.50. That is a valid level of support, support here, right? All intraday. So if it breaks below that price point, it'll be a price target of 2,900 in mind. So short below 29.50 with a price target of 29, or a long over 30.20 with a price target of 30.50. And then the other play would be a long over 30.50, depending on the pre-market movement. Yeah, just one thing to keep in mind with Amazon, it's likely to move with the overall market. So you're probably going to want to have market backing. All right, there is another option to or alternative, I guess, that I like instead of Amazon, or maybe even with Amazon, but I'm going to say instead of Amazon, and that's AMD. Because look at this, it's done the same thing here, right? Friday, where it just made that V-shaped recovery. You see the similarities, right? So like recent downtrend, V-shaped recovery. AMD, recent downtrend, V-shaped recovery. So like you can argue, well, yeah, look, it's breaking the downtrend right here. You see that? So maybe it is breaking the downtrend. Look at the daily chart for AMD. It's bounced here off of this gap area at $74. 1, 2, 3, like a lot of times there. So we'll just say 1, 2, 3, 4 times, right? I don't think it's a coincidence that this pulled all the way back to what, 74.2, and then decided to bounce there. Like, the market does not forget significant levels. That is a pretty significant level for AMD. So 74. It's literally the same deal as Amazon, right? The same kind of setup, other than it just has a gap below. So it's the same thing where it's like recently been downtrending. The 200 EMA is right here. Had a nice bounce on Friday, and we're just looking for this to get some market backing and maybe a recovery move to the top side. So for AMD, like I would not trade, me personally, I would not trade both AMD and Amazon. It would be like a one or the other type of deal for me. The only reason I'm mentioning AMD is because I know some members or people watching this stream may not have the portfolio value to trade Amazon, or maybe you just don't like trading Amazon. So I know AMD is a really popular stock. I even like trading AMD. So I'm going to mention this as an alternate play. It'll be a long over $80, right? So we're just looking for that recovery move, that break of this downtrend, and then that kind of bounce off of the 200 EMA that we're seeing here on the daily chart time frame. It's already kind of bounced off the gap area, so we're just looking for that same deal, that same kind of recovery move. For those of you that's in my server, AMD is going to be maybe like I might include it as a side chart, but you should know the analysis on it, right? So it'll just be like a long over 80. If I were to short this, it'd be below 74, and we're not trading near that price point right now. So, all right, that's it. That's all that I have for the main watch list tickers. It's going to be Facebook. A quick review here. Facebook, we're looking for this range to break on the daily. I'm really looking forward to this play, and I'm hoping that it plays out how we think it's going to play out. Kind of going to be disappointed if it decides to fake us out, but yeah, I've been waiting for this to happen for about a week now, so we'll see. We'll see if it can get the momentum behind it and sustain the move topside. Facebook, range break. Disney will be maybe an all-time high break. it depends, right? It's an up gapper after hours, so we got to see where it opens up at before we can really say what type of play it's going to be. The ideal play, though, is going to be a break over 200 and a break over the all-time high and run. The next play on the main chart watch list will be Amazon, right? And this is going to be just like a play that's kind of following SPY. So if we see a green market, it's my belief that this will continue to validate the 200 EMA as a support, break over 30.20, and we may see a larger move or recovery bounce at least off of that price point. Otherwise, we'll just short it right with the market. And then the alternate play being AMD is a gap support hold / bounce. Okay, so we're going to talk about some side charts right now. Don't leave the stream yet. While I'm doing that, post up anything right here in the chat section. I just ask that you please don't call out random tickers or penny stocks, and try to format the stocks that you're calling out like the watch list. So I want to have a level, maybe a sentence or two why you think the stock has potential, and then some levels that you're watching. So this is a pretty good call out, right? Alex the Rookie's showing you how it's done here, giving me a reason why, and a couple of levels, and just makes for better conversation. All right, for the side charts, we're going to look at PLTR. Kind of the same deal-ish as Amazon and AMD with that long bottoming wick. But then it's also comparable to Facebook, where we have this range being built between like $22.50 and $26 roughly. So I've mentioned this before to keep alerts set at 26, and I'm going to stand by that. I'm just putting it back on your radar in case you forgot, or in case you didn't get the alert last week. Keep that trigger level, or keep that alert set at 26. We're looking for the recovery off of this kind of sell-off move right here. So we'll play that if and when it decides to go. All right, looking for the range break there. CSCO is another one that I want to have on the side chart, probably for tomorrow as well. I mean, this could potentially be a main chart watch list item. So it's confirmed to bounce off of the 50 EMA here, broken this downward trend line, broken this static level of resistance at 46, got a recent upgrade. And if we look at the 5-minute chart, it went green while SPY was going red. So this was showing some nice relative strength. The only thing that I don't like is look at the volume on these days, right? And then you see the price action's fairly choppy. But when this volume picked up, it traded really well. So we want to see that volume stay in this stock and for this to continue to move up. So I have an alert set at 47. We'll see if it can get there and continue to move or not. The last one that I have on my side chart radar is AI. This is somewhat of a recent IPO. The $100, it's been sold off pretty hard from like 170 all the way down to like sub 100, right? And so now it's started to bounce. Actually, this is a pretty big move from 77 back up to 98, highs of 98, is 27%. If this can break over 100, I think it easily has potential to move to 110, but we got to see what it does at the bottom side of that 200 EMA. And then if it can get over that, I mean, every $10 past that is a likely level of resistance. So 120, 130, etc., all the way up. All right, so just alerts set over 100, which I don't know why mine's not set there. Alert set over the $100 price point, and be on watch for a potential recovery on this stock. Okay, that's it. PLTR, CSCO, and AI. All right, we're going to get into the questions or stocks that you have been calling out. Yeah, Dut, you're right. There's not many setups going into tomorrow. To be honest, like I did a lot of review with the so I teach a class on Sunday, so I did a lot of review with the Higher Spartan team today, and it was like I don't want to say it was like pulling teeth or like we're forcing any setups, but when you see a lot of the same stocks doing or making the same pattern, with that like long bottoming tail and small top body, it's it's really hard to do technical analysis. You just don't see a lot of stocks moving independently from each other, and they're all kind of trading with SPY. And when that's the case, like sometimes it's even better to just watch SPY. Like somebody asked me in the class earlier, what would I do if none of the setups that I had planned for panned out? And I was like, well, I would just watch SPY. Maybe take a scalp trade or something on SPY. But if nothing's moving the way that I think it's going to move, like I have no problem sitting out and not taking a trade. There's been this year, I've taken less trade. I've actually had more days where I've taken no trades this year than I have like any other year already, right? Where I've just sat out and not taken any trades. We had three hot weeks in January when everybody kind of got back from break, and it was like the market was just doing everything that you thought it would do. If something was setting up to break out, it broke out like you thought it was going to go. And there was a lot of opportunity there to be made, and everything was going great. And then it got really weird once like the whole Wall Street bets thing happened, and that was kind of the beginning. Like I was like, this is crazy. I have no idea what to make of this. I'm just gonna watch. And then eventually I hopped in GME to make some money on it, just so I could be like, yeah, tell my kids one day that I was a part of that run up. But I mean, it wasn't like anything super significant. I kind of just did it for the mention. But yep, not taking any trades if we see the market not doing what we think it should do, or if it starts acting crazy. I mean, it's been a wild ride. Look at /ES. This is like super, like you think it's going to break out here and then big red day, and then you think it's going to break down from here and big green day, right? And then 3 big red days in a row followed by a major pullback green day. Like, I mean, it's fun, I guess. I'm loving these bigger moves, the volatility, but it's kind of hard to get a read on the market. So yeah, keep an eye on SPY. Thank you. So you said you really like my analysis. I appreciate that. That means a lot. All right, Alex, let's look at Plug here. So you're saying that Plug has filled the gap on the daily, has bounced off of the 200 EMA, possible long entry over $43, right? Which would also be a break of the downtrend, but you need market backing. All right, so let's look at Plug. All right, so this is what Alex is mentioning. So the first thing he said is that there was a gap fill on the daily, right? So here's your there's your gap. I'm assuming that's what you were looking at. It actually kind of filled it on this wick right here, but yeah, there was like a little bit left for it to go ahead and fill, and it did so right there. So it dropped all the way down to, right around 33, what is that, 33.50 or so, then bounced back, which is close enough to this 200 EMA to validate that as a bounce, right? So it's crazy how we're seeing like so many stocks pull back to that 200 EMA mark right now. Really interesting to see what's going to happen from here, if this is going to be a true bounce or if we're just going to break through it and continue coming down. All right, so you've mentioned that there is a possible long entry over 43. All right, that's going to be based off of, I see what you're pulling that off of. So Alex is pulling that off of the top side of this gap right here, which tends to be a natural area of support and resistance. And so since it was prior support, he's looking for that to be validated as a new resistance. And if that level is broken, if that resistance level is broken, then he's saying there's some top side room back up to, what'd you say? You didn't give a price target. My guess would be that if it does recover, it can move back up to $50, right? That's going to be just kind of based off of two things. The 50 EMA, that's going to be your next major level of resistance. This price action here, which is kind of validating that level as a resistance, but the main reason being that $50 is a whole number. We know that whole numbers act as natural points of what? Support and resistance. Yeah, so Plug, same deal, right? You want to have that market backing. I think anything that you see, any stocks that we see from here on out that has that bottom wick and then the recovery mode, you're going to be wanting market backing on a lot of those. Can I review HZO? Yeah, if you, okay, there you go. So you've given me some analysis here. So let's do that. HZO is approaching 47, which seems to be a key level in 20-day, 1 hour. Profit target 49, resistance like 4 times. So let's look at HZO. I've never even charted this at all. Okay, so I see right now like a lot of chop in this, just in this kind of like general area. It is, I guess I would draw a channel, right? So it is like slowly moving up, but yeah, it looks kind of choppy. Although it didn't sell off with like a lot of the other stocks, so that, you know, I guess it is showing some relative strength here. Let's see here. Okay, so you said it's approaching 47, which seems to be a key level in the 1 hour. 49 was a resistance. So yeah, I would say that you're right. 49 is a resistance, but 50 is probably the more important level of resistance, even though it hasn't been hit. So 49 is definitely the price point to break over. What I like on HZO is that it's still validating this 50 EMA as support. So you have, you have static support, which is just a horizontal line, and then you have dynamic support, and this is what it's riding on the way up as a support point. So as long as it's continuing to make these higher lows like it has been, I think that this looks fine. I don't know if I would day trade this though. Yeah, I wouldn't day trade this, and here's why. Look at this volume. Do you see these gaps in the stock? Like, that's not something that you want to be a part of, right? 'Cause, imagine if you're trying to enter here and then next thing you know, it like gaps down and gaps down. Like, you don't want to be a part of this. There's just not a lot of intraday volume. But if this is a stock that you like, which I haven't done, I don't know anything about that stock, but if you like it fundamentally, this may not be a bad one to swing trade. Let me look at the weekly chart time frame. I mean, it's somewhat healthy. I feel like maybe it's a bit overextended there, but it's not like just a parabolic trend straight up. Like, it is making moves up, pull back, right? Moves up, pull back, pull up, push up, pull back. And that's what you want to see. You don't want to see anything that's just straight up. So I would maybe, and if you're swing trading it, maybe I would wait to have extra confirmation for a break over 49. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to enter over 47 with a price target of 49 in mind, you could capitalize on that, right? The profit margin there is that's going to be over 2%. So you're looking at 4%. I mean, and if you're just trading like the common stock, 2% is good. So you would really only need a $1 move from where it's currently trading at. But not one I would day trade. Maybe one I would swing trade. Which app is best for trading? That's up to you. That is totally up to you. I'm going to recommend what I'm using right here, and this is Thinkorswim. It's offered by TD Ameritrade. I just think that it's best for trading because the customer service, it's unparalleled. You can call them and literally have them spend 20-30 minutes on the phone with you, giving you a demo of their entire platform. They'll answer any questions that you have. I've even had them reverse trades for me when their platform has glitched or, made an error, which they all should. But like, I feel like if you try to get in touch with Robinhood's customer support, like, good luck. You might be waiting for weeks. So yeah, I'm going to recommend Thinkorswim. Their platform to me is just the best for charting. I love their active trader system. I wish that they offered free stocks like these other brokerages, so I could recommend it and get paid for actually putting them on the map, but they don't. So, there's nothing in it for me to be recommending it to you. If you have access, I recommend trying it out. It can be a little confusing at first, but once you figure it out, I don't think you'll ever go back to anything else. At least not like if you're used to trading on like Robinhood. Or even Webull, maybe even Tastyworks, but that's a different type of platform. I don't think you're going to go back to those, though, if you try this out. But, everybody has different tastes, so this is the one that I like the most. Good question. What tool am I using? Oh, so this is it, right? So I think that's what you mean. That this is called Thinkorswim. Classic Kill Rose said, well, YouTube Live. Yeah, YouTube Live. That's what we're doing now. So we were doing Zoom meetings, and we've switched it over to YouTube Lives because apparently it's just easier, and people can go back and review them later without me having to like record them and upload them. So YouTube just does it all for me, right? I go live, it stays live, and you guys can watch it for, I think it's 24 hours after I end the stream. Yep. Yeah, I would really appreciate that. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like if you have found some value in what I'm putting out here. Dutch saying IBM is a range break and a gap fill to the upside. You're not a fan of the contracts though. Let's look at IBM and see. So okay, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. This is actually this is a really decent trade right here. Nice find. So the profit margin's there from 125 up to 130. That's about a 4% move, right? That's the gap fill that Dut's talking about. The range is going to be all this price action right here. I mean, that's a very clear range. You have the support, around 118. Let's just say 118.50 with resistance right here around 124. So you're looking for a break of the range and the move up. Since this wick right here has been pushed up into this gap, I would count that as a partial gap fill. So I would be waiting for an entry over 125. Plus, if you wait for that entry over 125, you're giving up $1 profit right there, but you have extra confirmation that it's moving and that it's breaking this 50 and 200 EMA. Great find right there. Yeah, that was really good. Really good, Dut. Okay, I skipped over this one. I guess I just didn't see it. So you said you want to look at some energy stocks. SU looks like it might break the high on the daily. Let's look at SU then. There you go. Something that's showing relative strength, huh? So I would have to go back to, I want to go back to the weekly chart here. Oh look, there's actually what is this? That is another gap between, what is that, 24.5 down to right where it's currently trading at, which is 22.5. And I'm on the weekly chart time frame, by the way. I want to back this up to max available and see what we're working with here. So that level also, it's not just relevant to where it's at now. Like it kind of was a support back here. I mean, this area, I guess, $20 up to 22 was a support, and then it was a kind of a support right here, and then back here, look, it was also a resistance, right? That's where all that was trading below. I love when you have something like this, like where you can take the line that you just drew and pull it over, and it's relevant to other price points on the chart. You see that, right? Like, you see the consolidation below that mark. And then you see the pullback to that mark, and then you see the pullback to that mark, and then you see the, 1, 2, 3 times that level's been hit. Yeah, this looks pretty good. And this formation here too, I like that it's going against the overall market there. This formation is a symmetrical triangle, so it's not really a bullish formation, or it's not really a bearish formation, unless you're taking into account this previous price action. Then it would become a bull pennant, which you can do, right? Because patterns can form over multiple days. But this, I would look for, there's a couple of different ways to trade this pattern, but I would probably wait for a new high to be made. So maybe a break over that, whatever, 22.5 area into the gap. It's kind of already started to fill that gap. Let's see what it does. So it needs to hold over, definitely needs to hold over the $22 price point. Yeah, I mean, I would just wait for a new high to be made. That's a good find too. Who mentioned that? Dfong. D-F-O-N-G. Nice find. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That was good. I love technical analysis like that. I have no problem with this chart at all. And then we talked about before, like a stock trading below the 200 EMA is considered to be in a downtrend, but this has now reclaimed that 200 EMA and started to move up, right? And the profit margin is there on the on the weekly chart time frame. You just have to go back and look. So this definitely has room to continue to move. All right, let's see what the next one was. I'm going to skip that for now and go to one. Are gaps invalid after the first fill? Yeah. Okay, so the level that the levels where the gap is formed is not invalid, but the gap fill idea is invalid. So let's look at, I'm going to show you AMD. I'll give you an example here. If this pulled back into this gap area below 74, and then like, let's just say this wick came all the way down to 70 and then pulled out, right? That's just enough to fill the gap and then move back up. That would validate as a gap fill play. However, if that happened and then it closed above 74, I would still say that 74 is a relevant level of support, just based off of it being the top side of the gap, right? And we've seen it validated here, and then it would most recently be validated again here. So yeah, one time is all it takes for it to pull back and fill the gap, and then after that, I like to highlight my gaps with these gray boxes so I can easily find them. You see it here and here. So yeah, once they're filled, I delete the box and remove it. Do I mind doing an analysis on Unity? It looks extremely oversold. It broke resistance at 100, looking to play the gap fill between 140 and 147. So let's see. Okay, first of all, let's just talk about where we're currently. So you're looking to play. You said you want to play this gap fill between 140 and 147. I mean, yeah, that's there. Thank you for bringing that up, because I put a box around it, or I didn't have one there before. But that's not relevant to like where we're currently trading at right now, right? So I would probably say that $100 is going to be. I mean, that's going to be your big level, right? It's $100. That's always going to be a big level for a stock. It was a previous resistance here, and then you kind of got like that ascending triangle breakout, and then that was a weird like fake out right there, but it did pull back and retest after it broke out truly, and then decided to run all the way up to 174. Now has pulled back pretty far. You are right. If we're looking here, this is the RSI. It is oversold, right? So it's well below 30 on the RSI, which is typically an indication that you could be getting a reversal. I like to wait to see this oversold and then the MACD cross before I have confirmation. It is trading below the 200 EMA, but the profit margin is there for this to move. It's kind of like AI, right? If it breaks over 100, like the next major level of resistance that I see is going to be around the 200 EMA, but based on the chart and the candles, it'll be around 110. Which is that's a decent sized profit margin that it potentially could make in one day, right? You're talking about like a 9% move. So yeah, absolutely. Something like this, I would be careful and cautious. Like, don't try to catch the falling knife. So if you want that extra confirmation that you're getting a break of this downtrend, like you might want to just wait for the break of like 105, or maybe even a break of 110. You're missing out on a little bit of profit margin there, but you have confirmation. Or if you don't mind the risk, you can go ahead and buy it up off the lows with a stop down here, but just know that, it may not break 100, right? It's in a downtrend for a reason. So don't buy a stock just because, it looks oversold. That's not a good reason to buy the stock. But, I do think that if you're a swing trader, I'm a big fan of buy low, sell high type deal, and just know that this has, this still has room to come all the way down to 65, even below that. But yeah, I mean, for short term, I don't see this falling like too much further. I will agree. Typically, stocks that are like overdone like this, even if the market continues to fall, they don't normally continue to fall. They may like move sideways or chop around a little bit, but Yeah, I mean, anything could happen. We'll see. It's got to get back over 100, though. Yeah, and then once it gets back up to like 130, then we could talk about it filling that gap. I'm going to set an alert at 100. All right, T's ranging in the 28 to 30. What's up, Adrian? T ranging in the 28 to 30 range since December 20th. Last 3 days have been green on heavy volume. Not a big mover, but considering a long consolidation, it could be ready for a strong breakout move over $30. So let's look at T, ticker T. Yeah, so I have a line drawn here. So you're saying there's a lot of consolidation between 28 and 30. Yeah, you're exactly right. And look there's that gap right there, right? So whoever asked me about that gap, like the stock moving down into the gap, like this I would consider to be a partial gap fill right there. So I would move this then down like that, right? So like that would be the remainder of the gap that needs to be filled, which is not very significant. Actually, on a stock, well, yeah, no, it's not really that significant. I was trying to think on a stock price this cheap that would be a bigger move, but it's not. All right, so let's talk about your analysis, Adrian. So range between 28 and 30. Yep, there's your range. I mean, that is the 200 EMA also. So a break over 30, you're saying this has a price target of like 31 to 30, 31.5, maybe even 32. Yeah, I would agree with that, right? And let's back it up on the weekly and see, like, is the level that it's currently trading at relevant to any time in the past? Little bit. We're just going to draw a trend line right across 28 there and see. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to feel like I'm forcing anything, but it does seem to be like when it breaks down below this price point, it just consolidates and then recovers, breaks down, consolidates, recovers. So it was treated as a resistance both times between this consolidation zone, and maybe even this time too. So we would want to see it continue to validate as support, which it seems like it's doing here. So I'm going to move back to the daily. Yeah, keep alerts set over 30. I don't have any issues with this. You said it's not a big mover, but I mean, look at this move. What did it do? A $1 move on this stock. I mean, that's a pretty decent percentage. 3.2%. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's not that big of a mover. Might be a decent swing stock though, and it was showing relative strength. I like that volume too. Back on the daily. Yeah, set alerts on T over 30. Thank you, Adrian, for that. Let me look at the contracts. It's pushing it. All right, so I'd like to see contracts that have a tighter bid and ask spread, and we're looking at like 8% here. That's not like super favorable. It's not bad, but it's not really good. I mean, the stock's cheap enough anyways. Maybe just buy the shares. I don't know. Yeah, good find. I'm gonna write that down too. Thank you. See, this is why we do this analysis, because I can't possibly find everything on my own. So I've really liked the ones you called out today, SU and T. I really like both of those. AAL. All right, let's talk about AAL, and then we're going to end the stream after that one. So AAL has resistance, because I actually like to day trade this one. AAL, you're saying it has resistance at 23. Yeah, you're right. Like that is right where my line's drawn to. Just even based off that wick right there. So it has resistance at 23. You're swinging it for a move to the $30 price point, holding above 20. Okay. Yeah, I don't see. Okay, look at this. So somebody's asking about the gap, like that wick pullback right there. That was a gap fill. That, and then this one was another one. Yeah, so if you're not in AAL, look, things are reopening right now. At least that's the way it seems, right? So provided that nothing crazy happens with, like, we get another strain of this virus, it's my opinion that all of these stocks that fell due to COVID are going to likely recover in due time. I mean, maybe airlines especially, right? So if we look at the weekly chart, like there's still plenty of room for this to recover. You're swinging it for a move up to like the 30s. I mean, I think that's a decent price target, right? So it just needs to, at this point, oops, let me go back to the daily. At this point, it needs to get over 23, but I don't see a day trade on this right now, right? Unless it gets, that's why my alert's set right there, 22.5. So unless it gets back up to that price point, I don't see a day trade here. But yeah, I mean, a swing trade maybe, right? Cool. Thanks for mentioning those on SU and C. I think those are really great finds. The other ones were fun to break down too. I am going to have the watch list sent out at around 6 o'clock in the morning Pacific time for those of you that are in my server. So keep an eye out for the exact trigger levels being posted then. Trade smart tomorrow. Try to follow SPY, right? Like you want to have that. If you're long on something, you want to see SPY moving up. Typically. Try to have that market backing. That can really be the difference between a stock that breaks out versus one that fakes out. Thank you guys for all your time. Thanks for being here. Thanks to everybody that pressed the like button for me. Take care. I will see you all in chat tomorrow. Let's make some money.